Seduction is one of the most powerful weapons in the world on this planet, hands down. It's misunderstood, it's considered taboo. We only associate it with sex, but it goes so much deeper than that. The masses, because of social media and corporate media, have been seduced. Seduce is to lead the mind astray, venture off from the normal path that we go. That's what seduction is. When a movie in a movie theater has you melt into your seat, you're fully enthralled by the experience and you've kind of lost the notion of where you're at in time and space. That's a seduction. You see, it's a beautiful thing, and it extends into our social life, into everyday interactions, and the mind and thought process of a seducer and somebody who understands this technology. I'll call it technology, right? This way of thinking and being has access to a world and tools that the average person is completely unaware of, yet that average person will fall prey to it if they're exposed to it. I'm telling you, it's so, so powerful. And originally, it surfaced because it was needed. When you look at the fairer sex, women, they couldn't overpower us. They would use seduction and its powers to get their way, right? I mean, it's a natural thing. If you start studying male and female behavior, evolutionary psychology, you'll see it, right? Now, what happens is in our modern world, it's labeled as right or wrong. It's just simply in our nature and what we do. And we've been able to kind of decode it and look at what it is, right? In regards to language and personality and feelings and all that. And I want people to put on their intelligence cap for this and put the sex and all that aside, at least for this video, because that, again, that's a branch of it. However, this is literally in everything that we do. And the reason that I say it's so powerful is because look at the era that we're in. We're in an era now where people can tune into a video like this or follow me or someone else, and you're literally being seduced by that person. The bigger brands, the ones that have appeal, and there's certain traits. Like if you haven't read, right here, I have it right here, The Art of Seduction by Robert Greene. It goes over the 9 archetypes. Great, simple format for you, especially if you're a beginner to this stuff, to kind of take the taboo off the word, have you understand what it is, how it relates to human behavior, and some basic tools and personality traits that will help you with this thing, just so you have an understanding, right? It's powerful in the sense that it goes beyond logic. And that's where a lot of people, again, we want to live logically for sure. But there's something to being able to grip people emotionally. I know I'm very good at that. That's one of the reasons my brands and everything have blown up, is as a speaker and as a character myself, what I portray to the world and who I am and how I present it to the world. Because that's the key, is the perception. You could think you're the shiznit, but if nobody buys what you're selling, nobody believes in you, nobody, can look at your character and really believe it and experience it, it doesn't matter. But I understood the power of it a long time ago as I started studying these things and realizing, like, man, every moment counts. Every moment, every person, every interaction, every second is an opportunity, a grand opportunity. And I want you to be able to grasp this power by first recognizing it, but number 2, being able to harness it. Because when you look at, let's say we look at it from a business standpoint, right? If I look at my interactions with my customers as a seduction, you put so much time and effort and energy into it that you want to create that perfect symphony. You want to create the perfect email sequence that's going to capture their attention and imagination and move them emotionally. You're going to infuse your language and your scripts with enthralling conversation, tantalizing conversation. You're going to mimic a lot your voice. You're going to study communication a lot more. You're going to understand the nuances of tonality and body language. If again, that is your goal, you're going to naturally take these things more seriously because you understand that these are all pieces of that puzzle. Lead the mind astray, right? Take people through an experience. Penetrate the depths of the mind. Admire the God essence in each individual. Being poetic in your speech, like all these little things add on to this seductive process. And when you do that and you embody some of the other qualities, and let me go over some of them first. The first one is this. In order for you to really grasp this subject and treat the world as such and move like that, you're going to have a very high level of confidence. Because if you're embarrassed doing this stuff, or you're like, oh, seduction, and you're like immature and you can't talk about it, or you're scared, none of this is going to work for you. I understand how the world views a lot of things. People will judge me because of this word, the title of this video, the tattoos that I have. I'm not concerned with convincing people. I'm going to, again, live my life, do what I do, and take concepts like this and understand them and study them and obsess about them. That way I can leave my mark on the world and accomplish what I want to accomplish. Like, you guys have to understand this. It takes an extremely high level of confidence to have literally everything taken away from you unjustly, like it was taken away from me, and to just not skip a beat, come back every single day and rebuild it. And you're watching it right now. Keep watching the next month, 3 months, 6 months, year, and you're just going to keep seeing me and my brand go like this. The story, the following, my successes, all this stuff. You're going to see the gradual evolution. Just like many of you who have been around for years have seen my speech and the quality of my communication continue to improve, especially those of you who have been students. That character, BC and Team BC and all that, in a way has seduced the world through inspiration, right? Through communication and all these different attributes, through the success, through prestige, through power, through all of these things. I understood how the world was going to perceive it because we're all communicating all the time and we're telling a story. Is the story that you're telling the world and to yourself seductive? Is it something that's interesting? Does it capture people's imagination? Does it intrigue them? Is there something about you? Because if you're just like everybody else, look like them, sound like them, talk like them, walk like them, post like them online, make content like them, you're not going to be seductive because, again, you're one of a million of the same. Because part of that quality of seductiveness is unique, one of a kind, not of the average, not of the ordinary. Different is better than better. Because better than someone else means it's the same, just better. No, I want to be different. If I'm different, it's more alluring. There might be more of a question mark there. A little bit of ambiguity, right? Same thing with the communication style. Although to a lot of people, I am like hyper masculine and aggressive. If you really pay attention to the subtleties in my communication, especially when I sell, you'll notice, and I'm going to make a separate video about this, seduction is indirect. It's not direct. There's a lot of indirectness in what I do and how I ask questions and go about it. I have the capacity to be very direct, and I am when I need to be. But the overall and overarching structure of it is indirect in nature because seduction is indirect in nature. It's not direct. It's underneath the radar. It's subliminal. It's subconscious. It's a slow, methodical, patient process to seduce. It's not this rushed, hard-nosed, aggressive, in your face type of thing. No, it's sweet. It's a symphony, right? It's a lullaby. It's a poem. And a lot of people miss this stuff. They miss these little details. But I'm telling you, it's one of the most powerful things because it plants a seed in the mind of the individual and it grows. And it slowly consumes them and it grips them. You guys have all heard the story of like Cleopatra, right? How she seduced, Caesar and all these other big figures, and she had them eating out of the palm of their hand. Now that would be more of a sexual nature and relationship nature, right? Which is how we typically think about it. But that's one that's pretty noteworthy that a lot of people know about. Same thing with like Marilyn Monroe. She seduced the masses with her looks and her personality. And in those cases, Marilyn Monroe and Cleopatra, if you pay attention, it wasn't just their looks. It was their personality and the way that they were able to grip people emotionally. It wasn't just physical looks, because that's very surface level. That's only a small piece of this equation. So when we look at it from this perspective, the experience that we create, which nowadays, more than ever, it's being leveraged. It's more your communication, how you speak, how you make people feel. That in itself is what we're talking about here. And this subject is amazing because the more you get into it, you peel back the veil. Because a lot of people will look at it like, because they think it's sex or this and that. It's like, dude, that's only a piece of it. But you're blocking yourself off to understanding the mind, how human beings work, your communication. And again, when you start to look at this and embrace it more, a lot of the things that I've been talking about will feel, and you'll have a sense that it's more automatic for you to work on it because now it's making more sense as to why. I don't know anybody on the planet that's not interested in being more effective with their communication and moving people with their words. Even if they're not interested in talking to a lot of people, they don't mind being alone, they still, when presented with friends or whoever, would like the ability to be able to tell a story and enthrall an audience and be interesting and be able to, at the very least, fully express who they are to an audience so that they know exactly who they are and what they're about. And a lot of people, unfortunately, can't do that. This process will help you with that. You're not only going to be able to communicate and express who you are and what you're about, you're going to do it in such a beautiful way, people will be gripped by it. And that's what I'm talking about. And the interesting part is, this is the subject where I may not get a lot of comments here, but I'll probably get DMs on Instagram and emails and that kind of stuff, because nobody wants to make the world know that they're interested in seduction. Wear it proudly, whatever it is that I've talked about this subject or anything else. Just like lately, the little craze about some of the videos that I make about relationships and women. I've been going hard on dudes for years, not a peep. But as soon as I say anything about women, all of a sudden I'm a woman hater and this and that. It's crazy. See, but I'm not afraid to cross that line and have the conversation. Somebody who's seductive is bold. That's another trait of somebody who is seductive, is they're bold. They doesn't necessarily have to be direct boldness, but they're willing, right, to take that risk and then cross that line and potentially ruffle feathers and fully express what they want to express and do what it is that they want to do and go after it, because they're not playing by the same rules as everybody else. And that's why when you start understanding seduction, whether you want to highly be seductive yourself or not, at least by studying this stuff, you're going to understand it so you know the rules in which they're playing by. Otherwise, you will be unaware and you will be seduced, in quotes, by whatever powers understand this technology and use it against you. Because again, this isn't about sex. It's about way more than that. And a lot of people really, in the grand scheme of things, fail to see how important the understanding of these things are. Because as much as I divulge and I talk about this stuff and I recommend, hey, read this book and study this and do that, it's not that you have to take these things and necessarily use them, but at least having a baseline understanding of the concepts and knowing what they are and how they're being weaponized or how you could use them will, again, simultaneously protect you against them. Just like I've always told people, study neurolinguistic programming and hypnosis and all that. You don't have to become a practitioner, but at least have the understanding so those tools are not used against you without you knowing. Then that becomes very, very dangerous for your future and your well-being, and you don't want that, right? Cool. Well, seduction, in my eyes, is one of the most powerful things. We're going to keep talking about this subject because it's always interested me. We may talk more about the book, The Art of Seduction, and some other stuff, but you kind of let me know what you want from this, because I've gotten messages on my previous video like, oh, how to seduce a woman and all that. I'm not going to sit here and be a dating coach, right? But I will talk about these subjects and explore them further, because I know people are interested in them, whether they want to raise their hand or not. These things are kind of taboo, and I know they're very important at the same time. I'm not just doing it to sensationalize or just get clicks. I really have studied this stuff and I understand the importance of it. And I want to make sure other people, at least the ones who are willing to listen, can take from this as well. All right. I have some free resources in the description for you. Be sure to hit the thumbs up as well. Drop a comment for the algorithm. Subscribe if you haven't already. And let me know, right, if you want this subject to be discussed more, or if there's a particular direction, maybe you want me to describe it more, give examples, you let me know. All right. See you guys.